Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Looking at the country of the Gambia and how it's actually expanding agricultural opportunities, small business, even jobs through women throughout the country. We wanted to introduce this through Awamary. She is the founder plus CEO of The Woman Boss. And what she's doing is she is identifying females that actually would like to be into agriculture, producing goods, but also services that can be not only used within the Gambia itself, but also exported around the globe. And so there's just many interesting ideas and best practices that are coming out of this the Woman Boss program in the Gambia. And Awamary, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Sam.
In this one, we're going to be talking about how agriculture alleviates poverty. But tell us a little bit about why the Woman Boss really decided in the very beginning to focus on agriculture when so many nonprofits just almost like they ignore agriculture.
Well, so I believe that, at the Woman Boss, we believe that agriculture is $1 trillion business, obviously. And not only that, if we want to alleviate poverty and hunger, this is another way that we can do that by growing our own food. So we noticed that earlier on that, we had a lot of people coming into the land and into the Gambia, using the land, growing the food and exporting it out. And then we had our own people in the Gambia that were hungry. And so we thought, what can we do to grow food to make sure that we can also export our own, but not only that, make sure we feed the Gambia first. And so that's how we thought about, coming up with a program for women entrepreneurs in agriculture.
Yeah. And in this case study, I'm going to let you introduce our guest there with this Nopal Jegg, which I think is a very clever idea as a name. But the Gambia is a very unique country. We've talked about this before, but I just want to remind people, where is the Gambia and why is it so critically important for such a small country?
Sure. So the Gambia is actually located in the western part of Africa, and it's the smallest country in Africa, located literally sitting inside Senegal. Senegal is a francophone, but we are, fortunately, I always say that fortunately, we're an anglophone country. And so it's really, really important because as small as it is, of a population of 2 million, shortly over 2 million people, we do have a lot of challenges that we have as a country, especially one of them being agriculture and production of food.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking at the notion of agriculture alleviating poverty, that's a very bold statement. How can you make such a bold statement that agriculture will alleviate poverty? And I've added the will into it.
It will. And so if there's a will, there's a way. And so we do believe that, because if you look at the land, it's there, it's fertile. And we believe in growing our own food, not only, like I mentioned, to feed the country, but also to create access to market to be able to export it. So if you look at, for example, Nopal Jegg, her name is Binta, in this picture, she actually uses grains, which doesn't take as much to grow. She collaborates with other farmers, so she doesn't own her own farm because she cannot afford the land, but she collaborates with other farmers and women farmers, so they can give her the, the raw products. So in this case, it's millet, it's fonio, it's peanuts, etc. And then she dries the grains and packages them really well, so you can export it out, anywhere else, or even keep them with longer shelf life, so that you can reuse them during the, not so great season where you can't have the grains.
Tell us a little bit about her name. It's a very unusual name, I think.
Yes.
Why did she select that name?
So Nopal Jegg means give the lady a break. So she thought, if you have to go to the farm, get the millet, process it, and processing really for the Gambia doesn't mean a machine. It actually means you using your hands later, to pound it, with a mortar, and it's really, really labor intensive. So she thought, if I do all this, package it, people like me that have jobs, that are educated or even not, you can easily just buy the package, put some water in, put it in a microwave, and it's done. And you have your whole grain, available to you right at the door.
That's absolutely fantastic. Going out to the fields, and we're going to have some photographs of the agricultural background, and then we'll look at some of the products coming out of this. What are we
Sure.
looking at here?
So you're looking at actually the farm that she uses. So she collaborates with this guy who owns a farm, who employs all women. And, this is a way that you can see some of the, the crops, the grains that they're growing. Doesn't take much to grow. So collaborate in essence, making them, a little bit sustainably, economically. And then as well, she finds a way to bringing and mitigate some of the risks that she would have to do.
Now, looking at we're talking about real work here. I came off of
Absolutely.
a ranch. We had about 27 horses, and it was a big operation for the United States. But when you look at this is very well. It's almost like it's manicured, what they're doing and how they're farming this. What about farming in the Gambia that really represents Africa? And even though it may be traditional, stability as far as bringing incomes and allowing people to progress up through the middle class through agriculture.
Sure. So, like currently, right now in the Gambia, so when you can see the picture, obviously there's youth involved as well. Some of the youth in the rural parts of the Gambia, they go to school, but they get off school and they work in the farms to help their parents or anybody else who owns the farm, so they can make some sort of revenue. So they use the horses, they use donkeys. It's all heavy manual work because, again, like I mentioned, they cannot afford the heavy machinery. So everything is very highly labor intensive. And if you look at the rural parts of the Gambia, for example, majority of the women there, it's agriculture is the way. The only source of income that they could do is agriculture or agriculture.
Now, looking at these other photographs, tell us what we're looking at here, and again, why important to the diet, why important to the environment, and why important to each of the families as far as a revenue, but also as a food source.
Sure. So what you're looking at right now is actually millet. And so this is the raw millet. Once you chop it off from the top, so you'll take these, I don't know, hugs of millet and, pull it down, wash it, process it, and eventually becomes this powder that you can use. And they make it into some sort of ball so that you see it's made out to make cheddar, it's made out to make chakra, which are local foods that you can use that are 100% made out of millet, which is great for your diet. It's better than using rice, which is rich in sugar. These are not very healthy. So usually in the Gambia, that's how you feed your babies. After they've between breastfeeding and such, so it's mixed. So you use millet in your foods, your local foods that you cook, is a way to be healthy and stronger. And just produce, really stabilize your blood pressure, especially with that.
Right. Now, this is the real process of actually preparing
Exactly.
the millet. Tell us what they're doing with this, and then I assume this ends up going right into the kitchen and being prepared to eat.
So what they're doing right now, so they're taking out of the house. It's almost like you're pounding them so they can come off, and then you'll take the millet, wash it, and dry them, then take it to usually unfortunately, because they cannot afford the machines, but there are plants that actually have the machine, so you will take it there, pay an amount so they can make it into powder. If you want to make it into other parts of other types of porridges and such. But in this case, usually most of the time you pound it, make it your own, process it all by hand, and then cook it right at the kitchen. So you're right, you take it right next to the kitchen and process and eat it.
Yeah, so this really is field to fork
Yes.
as far as this whole process in the Gambia, and it's just really very interesting. This looks like peanuts. Why is
Yeah.
peanuts so important?
Peanuts are actually very, very important. So the Gambia is actually known for two things. Well, three things. One is it's a tourist area, so people come in, because of the beaches and the great, water and all of the things, activities that you can do. Second of it is, bird watching. We have all sorts of beautiful birds. But the third is peanuts. So we process lots of peanuts for different economies. It's mainly exported out to England, to China, but mainly we make peanut oil. And so we eat a lot of peanuts in our diet. We make peanut porridges. We also make peanut paste that we cook with stews, which are really, really healthy for you. Or we make it into, there's all sorts of different peanuts that you can have, covered in sugar, covered, boiled, grilled. So we eat all sorts of peanuts. So it's the one thing that you'll see across all over.
So this is something that each family, each woman with her family actually can grow their own peanuts and possibly even the millet and some of the other fruits and vegetables that we've seen. But this is really beautiful packaging. Tell us about
Absolutely.
the evolution of this packaging.
So when I met the ladies, especially with her, when I met her, she was, a couple years ago, she was putting the processed food, so in this case, it's cherry, which is the steamed millet, in Ziploc bags. And I thought, if you put it in Ziploc bags, I can buy it, but it's local. If you're thinking regionally or even exporting it out internationally, you have to have the proper packaging, invest in packaging, invest in, the labeling, etc. So we started with, there was another form of plastic which I did not like, and so we encouraged the women that try to avoid plastic if you're encouraging more of a gluten-free, because all these are gluten-free. If you're promoting gluten-free, organic, then you have to also go with a better packaging. So you invest in the packaging, the labeling, and so it looks great. So we actually export it out to the United States, some in Europe. So depending, or people can come into the Gambia, easily pick it, purchase it, and take it along as gifts.
Yeah, and these are really very pretty packaging, but also these products, as you were talking about, is how nutritious each one of these are, what they do as far as the body is concerned.
Sure.
So we're going to go out on this whole thing about agriculture, really alleviates poverty. It's through food, it's through their own business. What do you see for the growth and development of this type of project spreading across the Gambia, bringing more income into the local families and to help actually alleviate poverty?
Sure. And I think one thing that we really want to focus to at the Woman Boss is, we want to educate children now to make sure that they know the importance of agriculture, because it's been so long that people are shying upon that. Like, you have to be educated to get away. So now it's agriculture should be taught in schools so that, we can push forward as an agenda to make sure we grow our own foods. The second is obviously providing mentorship. So we mentor the women agriculturalists, but also the women agriculturalists serving as mentors to these young women or young girls so that they can also grow their foods. We want to provide access to resources such as capital, technical assistance, and markets. And then the main thing is by lobbying for them at local and national level government. Because if you do all this, then we're pushing the alleviation of poverty. We're pushing more people into agriculture. We're creating policies and systems for them and giving them that voice that, in other words, they would never had. So we want to be that liaison to eventually help alleviate, that poverty or even hunger as well.
Fantastic. Awamary Khan, the woman boss, as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.